Star Trek has had an extraordinarily spotty history in the world of video games. Every once in a while, a great game like Elite Force or Armada manages to come out, but for every one good game, it seems like there are at least a couple bad ones. Licensed games are hard enough to produce in general, but Star Trek is particularly difficult. The themes of the show and exploration of a mostly peaceful future don't translate particularly well into most genres of video games, and developers end up trying to force it. Star Trek Invasion is a prime example of this. Someone saw Colony Wars and other games like it and decided Star Trek would be the perfect franchise to shove into it. Never mind the fact that Star Trek has never actually had starfighters of any sort in it, just make it work. And to be fair, Warthog Games definitely tried their best, enlisting voice talent from the next generation, devising several entirely new classes of ship, and crafting a surprisingly coherent plot to weave their tapestry together. Hell, it even plays perfectly fine, given the time period it controls well and even looks pretty nice. But once you realize that a lot of the people who worked on this game actually worked on Colony Wars, it all kinda clicks. Because at its heart, Star Trek Invasion is basically a cheap Colony Wars ripoff. Granted, it's not a particularly bad one, but it's nowhere near as good as those games were at their best, and tacking on a license that feels hilariously out of place doesn't do the license or the game itself any favors. Plus, if we take it out of historical context, just comparing it to Colony Wars and its other contemporaries, Invasion has aged extremely poorly. For starters, the weak graphical capability of the original PlayStation means that if an enemy target is far away, you won't be able to see anything but the targeting reticle and the skybox behind it, the rest of the ship not even being drawn. And while that little visual quirk doesn't make much difference to the gameplay, the extremely jumpy controls do, making precise aiming frustratingly difficult compared to the more smooth movement you would expect these days. It also doesn't help that the quality of the presentation in general is poor. The music is subpar, the voice acting falls flat, even some of the lines delivered by professionals like Patrick Stewart or Michael Dorn don't land quite right. The whole thing doesn't just fail at being Star Trek, it fails at being anything more than dull, generic sci-fi schlock, no matter how clear it is that the developers really tried their hardest. It's not a terrible game, but there are a lot better games just like it that you should definitely play first, like the aforementioned Colony Wars, a game that a lot of the same people worked on, and a game that is a whole lot better in any number of ways. Every Monday, I look at a game that is at least 10 years old, what I would consider to be retro, and I see if it's held up today, if it's still worth playing now. If you like that idea, be sure to subscribe so you can see the latest videos. Or if you just like this video in particular, be sure to hit that like button. Thanks for watching.